May 20th, 2026. Vanessa Trump opens Instagram and types out a statement. She writes that she has recently been diagnosed with breast cancer, that she is working with her medical team, that she is staying focused and hopeful, that she is grateful for the love surrounding her, and then she posts it. No dramatic interview, no exclusive deal with a magazine. Just a quiet statement from a woman who has spent the better part of a decade doing everything in her power not to be the story. 7 days earlier, her boyfriend Tiger Woods had stepped off a plane from a rehab facility in Zurich, Switzerland. 40 days after being arrested for a DUI on Jupiter Island, 2 hydrocodone pills in his pocket, his Land Rover flipped on the side of the road. 7 days? That's how long she had between "he's finally home and I have cancer." And I know what you're thinking. You think you already know who Vanessa Trump is, ex-wife of Donald Trump Jr., Tiger Woods' girlfriend, a name in other people's headlines. But I want to show you something different today. Because the real story of this woman, what she's actually been through, what she built, what she lost, what she survived, and who she is underneath all of it, is one of the most quietly extraordinary stories in a decade full of loud ones. And almost nobody is telling it right. Let's start where the story actually starts. Not at a Trump Tower party, not at a golf course in Jupiter, but on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, with a girl who already had a life before anyone famous ever noticed her. Vanessa K. Pergolizzi was born on December 18, 1977. Her mother, Bonnie, ran a Manhattan modeling agency called K Models. Her biological father was Italian-American. When Vanessa was around 11, her mother married a New York attorney named Charles Hayden, and Vanessa took his last name. She grew up in a world of Manhattan polish and quiet ambition. Attended the Dwight School, played tennis, studied psychology at Marymount Manhattan, got signed to her mother's agency as a child, then moved up to Wilhelmina Models, then to Next Model Management. She walked Australian Fashion Week in Sydney in 1998. She was 20 years old, and the New York modeling scene was opening up for her. But here is the detail that most profiles skip over completely, and it says more about who Vanessa Trump actually is than anything that came later. Before the Trumps. Before the Saudi prince she dated from 1998 to 2001, whose father was the Saudi ambassador and who left the country after September 11th. Before the tabloid links to Leonardo DiCaprio. Before any of that, in the 5th grade, Vanessa dated a Latin Kings gang member named Valentin Rivera. Page 6 later found a handwritten letter she wrote to him in prison in December 1993. She was 16. She wrote about missing him, about looking forward to his release. I'm not telling you that to be salacious. I'm telling you because it matters. This was not a sheltered socialite who drifted into fame by proximity. This was a woman who grew up navigating genuinely complex circumstances with real stakes, and figured out, early, how to hold herself together when things got hard. That skill is going to matter a lot as this story goes on. In 2003, Donald Trump Sr. was at the height of his Apprentice fame. He spotted Vanessa at a fashion show in New York, walked over with his son Don Jr. standing right beside him, and introduced the two of them. Vanessa smiled, said hello, thought that was the end of it. 5 minutes later, Trump Sr. walked back over and introduced them again. He had completely forgotten he'd already done it. That is the origin story of this marriage. And Vanessa, 6 weeks later at a birthday party through a mutual friend, reportedly spotted Don Jr. across the room and remembered him as, and I'm quoting the New York Times here, the one with the retarded dad. That quote ran in the Times in 2006, and it might be the most accidentally honest thing anyone connected to that family has ever said out loud to a reporter. They dated. Don Jr. proposed in November 2004 with a $100,000 diamond ring that he did not pay for. A New Jersey jeweler gave him the ring for free in exchange for staging the proposal in front of paparazzis outside their store. The New York Post called him the cheapest gazillionaire in America. The wedding was November 12, 2005 at Mar-a-Lago. Around 370 guests. Don Jr.'s aunt, Judge Marianne Trump Barry, officiated. On her wedding night, Vanessa reportedly told her former modeling agent she hoped to have 5 children. She had 5 children. Kai, born May 2007. Donald III, February 2008. Tristan, October 2011. Spencer, October 2012. Chloe, June 2014. And while she was raising those children, largely out of the spotlight, running a luxury handbag line, making occasional TV appearances, the marriage was quietly falling apart. Sources from Page 6 and Us Weekly have reported for years that Don Jr. had an affair with Danity Kane singer Aubrey O'Day during the taping of Celebrity Apprentice in 2011. Vanessa reportedly found their emails in March 2012, and the way sources described her response is worth quoting directly. She, quote, went completely off on O'Day. Vanessa's was aggressive, direct. O'Day was reportedly stunned. The marriage continued. 2 more children were born, but the crack was there. Now here is the part of this story that almost never gets told correctly, because it completely changes how you understand the divorce. In 1992, Vanessa's stepfather Charles Hayden invested $1 million in a small specialty food company called Rouse, the pasta sauce brand, for a 30% stake. He passed away in 1995. His share went equally to Vanessa and her mother. In June 2017, Rouse was acquired by Sovos Brands for a reported $415 million. Vanessa and her mother split the family's approximate $125 million share. Vanessa personally received roughly $62 million before taxes. Her mother immediately bought Roger Ailes' former Fifth Avenue penthouse, cash $6.4 million, and didn't look back. And 9 months later, in March 2018, Vanessa filed for divorce. I want you to sit with that sequence for a second. This was not a woman who had to leave, who had to negotiate, who had to depend on what Don Jr. might or might not give her. She had $62 million from a pasta sauce company her stepfather believed in 25 years earlier. She left on her own terms, with her own money, and took her 5 children to Florida. That is not a woman who married into wealth and got trapped by it. That is a woman who outgrew a situation and waited until she could leave it cleanly. But before that divorce, exactly 1 month before it, something happened that Vanessa Trump has talked about only once, and it is genuinely one of the most disturbing things in this entire story. February 12, 2018, Vanessa opens an envelope at the family's Midtown Manhattan apartment addressed to her husband. White powder spills out, covers her face, her hands, her clothes. She starts coughing, feels sick, calls 911, she is rushed to the hospital along with 2 other adults, and then she waits. For 14 days, while the FBI investigates, Vanessa Trump does not know whether she has been exposed to anthrax or something harmless. 14 days of taking the antibiotic Cipro as a precaution. 14 days of being a mother to 5 children while sitting with the possibility that she might be dying. The powder turned out to be cornstarch. The sender was a 24-year-old man in Massachusetts who had mailed similar packages to a senator, a prosecutor, and a congressional candidate. He received 5 years of probation and 1 year of home confinement, no prison time. 8 months later, Vanessa finally spoke about it. She wrote that during those 14 days, she spent the entire time thinking about the horrifying possibility that I would never see my 5 beautiful children again. She called it a cowardly act against a mother. She said that even months later, every time she opened the mail, she felt the same fear. 1 month after that envelope, she filed for divorce. Make of that sequence whatever you want. After the divorce was finalized, Vanessa did something that almost nobody in her position would do. She went quiet, moved the kids to Jupiter, Florida. Filled her Instagram with photos of her children, Kai's golf tournaments, and family moments that had nothing to do with politics or tabloids or the Trump name. Don Jr. was immediately publicly dating Kimberly Guilfoyle within weeks of the filing. The Aubrey O'Day story exploded across every tabloid simultaneously. Vanessa had every reason to go to war in the press. She had the connections, she had the receipts, she had the money. Instead, she posted on Twitter defending Don Jr.'s right to privacy. Said they'd been separated for 9 months, said they respected each other, and went back to being a mother in Florida. Around Thanksgiving 2024, she and Tiger Woods started seeing each other quietly. They'd lived in the same Jupiter community for years. Their kids went to the same school. It grew slowly and privately into something real. On March 23, 2025, Tiger made it official on Instagram. "Love is in the air and life is better with you by my side." President Trump told reporters he loved both of them and wished them happiness. Ivanka commented that she was thrilled for both of them. And through the TGL golf seasons, Vanessa and Kai sat courtside and cheered. It felt genuinely like a happy chapter had finally arrived. March 24, 2026, Vanessa kisses Tiger before the TGL finals. March 27, 2026, 3 days later, Tiger's Land Rover is upside down on a 2-lane road on Jupiter Island, 2 hydrocodone pills in his pocket, bloodshot eyes, dilated pupils, handcuffs. April 3rd. Tiger flies to Switzerland. For the next 40 days, Vanessa stays in Jupiter. Attends Kai's high school graduation, shows up composed at every public event. Sources say she and Tiger spoke nearly every day. He gave her a day-by-day account of his treatment, she asked questions, stayed engaged. May 13th. Tiger comes home. May 20th. 7 days later. Vanessa posts her statement. "I have recently been diagnosed with breast cancer. After everything, the affair, the anthrax scare that wasn't, the $62 million exit, 6 years of deliberate quiet, a new relationship that felt like finally, now this." At 48 years old, Vanessa Trump has to fight something that has nothing to do with who she married, who she loves, or whose name she carries. And the response she got tells you something. Ivanka Trump, her former sister-in-law, wrote, "Praying for your continued strength and a swift recovery. Love you, Mama." Kai, her 19-year-old daughter, posted a photo of the two of them and wrote 4 words, "Strongest person I know." After everything we just walked through, that's hard to argue with. Not because she survived the big dramatic moments, but because she did it all without ever asking anyone to notice. That is a specific kind of strength, the kind that doesn't need a camera. Drop a comment below. Which part of this story surprised you most? Because I genuinely don't think most people knew any of this. Subscribe if you're new. See you in the next one.